Great morning, business owners and managers, and welcome to another awesome episode of CX in the Morning, Customer Experience in the Morning. I am your gracious host, Wes Walters, and on every single CX in the Morning, I bless you with customer service tips, customer experience tricks, and I leave you with gems. And by gems, I mean actionable takeaways that you can implement at the speed of now. Yes, immediately after this broadcast, you will be able to take what you've learned, sharing it with your team, making your team and your business better. You will learn the importance of creating an awesome customer experience and how it affects the bottom line. And that by itself is pretty awesome. That's why this is awesome TV, right? How has your week been? How was your week? I'm not talking about emotions. Yes, I know. Don't let the news get the best of you, man. Just don't do it. Do not let the news get the best of you. How was your week in regards to metrics? How are your numbers? Did you have a good week based on the numbers, or was it a lousy week based on the numbers? That's what I'm talking about. How were the numbers? All right, let's let the Instagram family know that we're live. All right, let everybody pile in. Yeah, how was your week based on the numbers? How was everyone's week? My week was pretty good. It could have been better. It wasn't the best week, but it could have been better. But anyway, let's jump into, before we even begin, the topic, like the title says, we're going to talk about the free prize inside. But before we begin to talk about the free prize inside, I was reading an article that what I figured you would enjoy. This is some good news for you. And I was reading it in Customer Relations Management magazine. Let me share my screen. I thought this was very interesting. So boom, this article, it says, and again, this is from August 2019 Customer Relations Management magazine. It says the report also cautions companies on the fine line between being responsive and invasive. Well, no, okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, additionally, right here, this was the gem. 59%, almost 60% of customers do not want companies to respond when they post positively on social media. I thought that was amazing. Hey, Wise Audio, how you doing, buddy? So we're going to be talking about reciprocity. I mean, not reciprocity, the free prize inside, which talks about reciprocity. But for right now, I'm just doing some filibustering around. And I was sharing, you can't see it, but I was sharing this article that I read in Customer Relations Management magazine, August 19th edition. And it talked about 59% of consumers do not want companies to respond when they post positively on social media. Hey, I didn't make up this. I did not did this research, but based on Customer Relations Management magazine, which is a very respectable magazine, says that 59% of and my monitor goes off. 59% of customers do not want a company to respond. Good morning, Mr. Paul. How are you? Good morning, Mr. Paul. So I'm sharing this interesting study. Says, and this is from Customer Relationship Management magazine, 2019, August 2019. It says 59% of consumers do not want companies to respond when they post positively on social media. Yet 54% expect a response in 3 days or fewer, following in the negative. So according to this research, consumers don't want you to post. If a customer comments about, they make the best Rubik's Cube, on social media. Based on the study, it says that customers don't want the company to come in and say, hey, thank you for letting us know. They don't want that. It's almost like the consumers want that positive discussion to be between them and their immediate circle of influence. However, if it's a negative response, 54% expect a response within 3 days or fewer. So based on the study, it's saying that customers, when they post something positive about your business, they want you to be quiet and let them enjoy the fame. Like, hey, this is my great Rubik's Cube that I bought from XYZ company. And let me enjoy the glory. I don't want you to jump in on my comments. I don't know why the customer would tag the business if they didn't want a comment, if they didn't want to respond. But based on the study, it's not 80%, it's 60%. So, I mean, you have the executive decision on this one. You can go lean towards doing it or not doing it. But more than 50% of the individuals surveyed says that they do not want a company to comment on a post when it's a positive post. If it's a negative, I'm not sure. I want to be sure you guys can read it. If I go any more than that, it's going to get grainy. But yeah, 59% right here of consumers do not want companies to respond when they post positively in social media, yet 54% expect a response. So if it's a positive response, let them enjoy it based on this study. If it's a negative response, that's when they want the company to jump in. All right, so that's that. Wanted to share that with you guys. What's next? Next in the news, remember I'm always telling you guys one of the main responsibilities of a CEO or a manager, a CEO or owner of a company, is to try on a daily basis to put yourself out of business. That is your main job. One of your jobs every single day is you want to come up with ways of how can I put myself out of business. Now, for my loyal viewers, they totally understand what I'm talking about. So for the new people, they're like, why in the world, who is this idiot to telling me that I should think of ways to put myself out of business? Well, the reason you're trying to do that is because if you don't, then your competition is, and your competition will. So this is a perfect example. I went grocery shopping last weekend. And for anyone who has spent 4 years in college on a budget, you learn about something called Woolite. All college kids on every college campus around the world, there is a go-to product called Woolite. And you're like, why do college kids love Woolite so much? It's not because they have stocks in Woolite, which I should invest in stocks in Woolite. But it's because Woolite keeps clothes looking good for years. Like literally, I had some FUBU jeans in college that I bought freshman year, and I would wash it in Woolite. I had those jeans for 4 years in college, and they look crisp. I had some Fat Farm. You guys remember Fat Farm? Some Fat Farm jeans, Fat Farm clothing, and all remained looking crisp all through my 4 years in college because I used Woolite. So where am I going with the story? So that pretty much lets you know that I am I would say, loyal Woolite user. I have tried their product. I believe in it. I know it works. So I would be fine to say I'm not a Woolite ambassador, but I'm definitely a loyal Woolite fan, right? So now the interesting thing about Woolite, though, is that when you purchase Woolite, you got to buy two. You have to buy one for colors and the one for, you know, the bright color, like the other colors, right? So you got to buy 2 wool lights. All right. Now let's see. You got to buy 2 wool. This wool light costs $9.97, $10, right? And when you buy the other wool light for dark colors, so this is for bright colors, this is for dark colors. This other wool light, the dark colors, is $11. So $21 to preserve your clothes so that they can last longer. It's cheaper than dry cleaners, so it's still a win, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Going back with my thesis statement, as a business owner, your job is to every day try to put yourself out of business. So all these years I've been using wool light, and everyone can agree that Tide is a big boy when it comes to detergent. Tide is the supreme clientele. Tide has most of the market share. So Tide is a brand that is respected and trusted. And what did Tide do? Tide say, well, we know all of these individuals like Wess have been using wool light since he was in college, and he knows and he stands and swears by wool light because he knows how dependable wool light is, and it preserves clothes for years and it keeps clothes looking good. Tide say, why don't we create our own version of wool light? It has the brand of Tide to stand behind. And we all know Tide is at the forefront when it comes to detergent. So Tide is the big boy. So all of Tide's loyal customers know that Tide produces good products. So Tide is not new to the market. Tide is known. And Tide said, you know what? Let's make something for delicate clothes as well. And just like that, overnight, a customer that was with wool light since 1997, since I started buying my own clothes, my own laundry detergent in college. Just like that, 97, 2007, 2017, that's 20 years, over 20 years of being a loyal customer to wool light. In a nanosecond, in one trip at Walmart, lost a customer. I want that to sink in. So I went from spending $21 to $11 to $12. So I had $10 to put into my savings account, $10 to buy bubble gum, $10 to buy pens, $10 to buy, you name it, fill in the blank. But that was a saving of $10 for me. So again, my thesis statement, why it's imperative. It's imperative as a business owner, every single day, you need to be thinking of ways to put yourself out of business. You have to be thinking of, how can I put myself back? You need to allocate 5 minutes per day. Let's start with 5 minutes right now. Let's start with 5 minutes of uninterrupted focus time of thinking of, how can I put myself out of business? Because your loyal customers that you thought were so loyal. By the way, newsflash, brand loyalty is at an all-time low right now. I just demonstrated. I was a loyal wool light customer for 20 years, since undergrad, 1997. But I would have to buy a wool light for the bright colors and the wool light for the dark colors. The leader in detergent said, hey, let's take some of that market share away from wool light, and let's create our own Tide approved delicate formula. And you can do it in one purchase. You can have dark colors, dark and bright colors in one purchase. And with a brand like Tide, again, who is the leader when it comes to detergent, in a nanosecond, wool light lost a customer for over 20 years. For over 20 years. So again, I beg you, this is me begging you. I am begging you. This is Wes begging you as a business owner. today and every day, you need to take 5 minutes. Start with 5 and work your way up. Just take 5 minutes and think of how you can put yourself out of business. This is your listen, friend. If you are not thinking of ways to put yourself out of business, I assure you, your competition is. Here it is. I was a loyal Woolite customer for 20 years, since 1997, freshman year in college. And in one Saturday at Walmart, they lost a loyal customer. 20 years. Now, if you ask the execs at Woolite, they would have been like, oh, Mr. Walters is solid. He's a committed Woolite. He's been using us for the 4 years in college, and he is sold. We will never lose Mr. Walters. And just like that, boom, gone. I will never purchase Woolite for bright colors for $10 and Woolite for dark colors for $11 when I can just buy a Tide Delicate for $12. Please try to put yourself out of business. 5 minutes today. All right, next example. Dun, 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 dun. A small little startup company by the name of Apple. Apple is now releasing its new M1 chip. M1 chips. M1. The chip is like it's not the processor, but the chip works in conjunction. If you're not a techie, so the chip is part of the engine in the machine, right? Now, Apple originally started off years ago. If you know anyone who's been with Apple computers for a while, IBM used to make the Apple processors. IBM. And then there was a big transition where IBM, again, thought that, hey, let's relax. We got Apple. Intel came in and swapped that Apple account away from IBM. Total loss, massive loss, right? Massive loss. So for the last couple of years, Intel was running, because the reason Apple left IBM and went to Intel is because the PC computers were outperforming Apple computers. Hey, how you doing, Lester? So the PC computers were outperforming Apple. And Apple like, well, we need to keep up. Good morning, Miss Bernadette. Good morning. You missed the first part, so you definitely want to watch the replay about the importance of putting yourself out of business. So after this live, go back and watch the first 10 minutes. So anyway, Apple, again, started off with IBM processors. IBM were too slow. Apple computers could not keep up with the PCs, so they went over to Intel. Intel had the contract, was doing well, and Apple were like, we need more. Again, Intel got comfortable by not over-delivering. More lessons here is that you have to give the customer more than they're paying for. More. If Intel were giving Apple more than they were paying for, they would have never left. Anyway, Apple says, by the way, that contract with Intel that we have, we're going to cancel it, and we're going to make our own processors. Whew. Now, complacency. Yes, indeed. Complacency. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, newsflash, right? This computer is Apple. My laptop is an Apple. My daughter's laptop is an Apple. And I have an Apple G upstairs. So, there are 4 Apple computers in this one house. I own 3 of them. So, just one customer owns 3 Apples, and my daughter has 4, right? This loss is so massive for Intel. Of course, Apple gets to keep the money within the in-house. But again, more reason. The gem here is 5 minutes a day. You need to be thinking of ways to put yourself out of business. You need to be thinking of how can I put myself out of business? Because in this case, the client, you didn't lose this account to another. So in the first case where IBM lost their account, the Apple account, to Intel. In this case, Intel lost the Apple account to Apple. So you got to be thinking of competition as well as the customer. The customer is like, you know what? I could do this myself. because you got comfortable. I assure you this, if IBM was giving Apple more than they were paying for, Apple would have never left IBM. Let's leapfrog. If Intel was giving Apple more than they were paying for, Apple would have never thought that we can create this for ourselves. The client will replace you. Mr. Sanjay, the client will replace you. So as a business owner, it gets tricky. So you should, newsflash, you should up that 5 minutes of a day to 10 minutes a day. You should think of 5 minutes of your competition taking you out of business and 5 minutes of how can your customer potentially say, I can do it myself. That's the way, that's how we start the weekend. Yeah, I'm going to piss you off on the weekend. See how people leaving right now. Oh, Wes is just pissing me off on a Friday. Yeah, I know. I get it. Yes, I know. This is not the way you wanted to start your weekend. You had everything planned and Wes just pissed your weekend off. Because now I got to take 10 minutes. He said 5. Now he's reneging and saying I got to do 10 minutes, 5 minutes of thinking of ways that my competition might put me out of business. And now I got to think of ways, did I show the customer too much? They might take me out of business. Anyway, so I wanted to start the show with that because, you know, as information comes, I want to share it. And Mr. Sanjay, you want to go back and watch the first 10 minutes because I talked about my Tide experience and then Apple. But anyway, today's show is about the free prize inside. See, I got sidetracked with this. I'm a nerd. I love this stuff. So I might get carried away. You might see, why is he so hyper? Because this stuff, I really love this stuff. So sorry. But anyway, today's show is talking about, Mr. Sanjay says, anyone who has more market share is in target. Yes. Hey, here's a gem. Anyone who has more market share is the target. Some businesses are walking around with a competitive target on their back. This guy is a scholar. Newsflash, here's the gem of the day. If you are the number one in your industry, they are coming. If you are number one in your industry, the cost of being the boss is that the others are constantly coming. Yes, one of the costs of being the boss is that if you are the Michael Jordan, if you are the Tupac, if you are the Apple, if you are the Amazon in your industry, if you are the Nike in your industry, the competition is coming and you have a target in your back. All right. Anyway, so let's move forward. So the topic for today is the concept of the free prize inside. And you're like, Wes, what in the world is the free prize inside? Well, the free prize inside came about because as kids, the wonderful company of Cracker Jack would always put something free inside the gifts in the Cracker Jacks. And all kids love Cracker Jacks. So we have been indoctrinated as kids for the free prize inside, even if in case we didn't even know it. So as we got older, of course, then they started putting the free prizes inside in the cereal. If you were like me, we would buy cereal and empty the cereal out. When my mother went to work, empty the cereal out, got the free toy, and with our filthy hands, put the cereal back. True story, Mom. We did that when you left the house. Yeah, it wasn't about cereal. It was all about that free gift at the bottom. They were like, free gift. All right, now we can put the cereal back in. But anyway, the free prize inside, this is something that has been embedded in your customer's mind, and it would behoove you as a business owner to incorporate this into your system. So if you're old enough like me, going back to college, going back down nostalgia lane, in college, before there were streaming services, we had CDs. And CDs, as a free prize inside, the producers would add something called a CD insert. And nobody did it better than Snoop Doggy Dogg with his CD insert. His CD insert was a full-blown magazine. If anyone had the Doggy Style album or had the Doggy Style album, the CD insert, now this was a free prize inside. It was never promoted that, hey, you're going to have a free magazine in the CD insert. You bought the CD, and as you opened it up, you put the CD into play, and then you saw this insert of a magazine. I mean, well-produced graphics. It was a day in the life of Snoop Doggy Dogg. And like, first of all, while you're listening to the music, you're reading the magazine, and you're like, this is amazing, because you resonated. The music was the soundtrack to the insert magazine. Free prize inside. So here it is. You pay $12. You got 12 songs. You thought that was it, but no, it came with the free magazine. Automatically, the way I felt about that individual rapper goes up. And same thing happens with your business. Another rapper from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, stand up. I won't call her name, but oh my God, all male and some female fans of rappers had this little album, this insert. In her CD, the album was called Hardcore. In her CD, she had a poster. Oh my goodness. Now, again, you bought the CD. You thought like, hey, I'm buying the CD. I pay $12. I get 12 songs. It's a no-brainer. To your surprise, you open the CD, and it's a poster of this Brooklyn-born female rapper. And every male student on campus had that poster of that Brooklyn female rapper, because it was the free prize inside. So now we were like, yo, you don't need to get the album because it's dope. You need to get it for that free poster. You will not, like now, like in if you go to like like most celebrities, they have a Scarface poster in their house or in their man cave. In the college dorms, that was the equivalent to the Scarface poster. It was a female Brooklyn rapper, her poster that came from her Hardcore CD. But anyway, the free prize inside, we've seen companies in the music industry has been doing it for years. And of course, you should be doing it too. Now, I like examples. So free prize inside, a company that does that well is GoPro. I bought a GoPro camera. Now, the GoPro camera came with the GoPro camera. And this is an old one. Came with the GoPro camera, handy dandy stand, 37 other type of stands. I mean, an extra case. I mean, just a GoPro bag, and just like if I showed you, all of this came free with the GoPro. I kid you not. All of these different stands and cases came with the GoPro, right? So I'm like, if this is what the GoPro gives you for free, like free 99, I'm going to go to GoPro's website and see what else they got. See what happened? They gave me more than I paid for. And what did I do? I went and got the wristband so that I can swim. I could swim and you could see me while I'm swimming, right? Not only that, I was like, well, let's go farther. What else they have on their site? I'm like, okay, they got the headband. So I got the GoPro headband so that I can, when I'm swimming, I got the camera on my head. All because, so I made 2 additional purchases, all because GoPro over-delivered. They gave me more than I was paying for, right? So as we can see why the free prize inside, how it benefits you as a business owner. Free prize inside. Now, if you have a restaurant, it's a no-brainer. You should definitely be exercising the free prize inside. That's a no-brainer. Like, there is no way you should be in business and you have a restaurant and you're not exercising the free prize inside. Absolutely not. Now, what is the free prize inside? In this case, for a restaurant, it should be giving out free samples. You should be giving out free samples. We see this all the time at the malls where they give you a sample. Hey, would you like some? We like orange chicken, orange chicken. Good morning. Miss Walters is in the building. Good morning, Miss Walters. So we see it all the time at the food courts in the malls. It's like orange chicken, giving out samples, and you get a sample and you're hooked. Why? Here is why. Because they are tapping into the principle of reciprocity. Reciprocity is that people are more likely to give something back if someone gives them something. Now, this happens on a subconscious level. You're not even aware of it. They give you a free sample. In your mind, you think you came up. I'm like, yeah, I got free in college. For the record, this is the honesty show. In college, for the record, when funds were a little tight and you were tired of even eating honey buns for dinner, we would just go to the mall and do circles in the food court, and in about an hour we had a meal. I'm not saying you should do that now. My kids don't have to do that, but their daddy did. You just get samples, like, or you'd have some gray shades, then put on the black shades, put on the hat, put the candle to the left, change it to the right, and they're like, hey, just give me let me have that sample. Is that orange chicken? I've never had orange chicken in my life. That's amazing. Let me try that. But again, they're tapping in. You thought you were getting oh, here it is. She is a caterer, and she says 99.9% of the time. That's you standing in your product. Listen, if you taste this, you're gonna buy it. Oh man, let's talk about giving away free samples. Look at the presentation. Oh my goodness. Look at the presentation of this. This is a sample from Tastely Divine Catering Service. Listen. First of all, they have a little bit of everything. Oh, listen, this is the way listen, ladies and gentlemen, the class is in session. If you have a catering service or a restaurant, see, the Chinese people, when you go to the mall, they give you one sample of chicken. That's it. No. This sample has a little bit of everything. They got the rice there. They got the protein there. They got the cabbage there. So 99, like she said, 99% of the time, you get a sample of all of this, you're buying. Game over. You don't stand the chance. The people at Tastely Divine know that if you get a sample of all of this, protein, rice, and cabbage, first of all, the next thing you're going to be like, what do you have to drink? So I got you with the drink, and then you're going to want the main course. And then you're going to want an upsell of that red velvet cake that Miss Tastely Divine took advantage of that I told her about. That's how you do it. Presentation, right? But again, they're tapping into, on a subconscious level, is the law of reciprocity. Is that you give them something on a subconscious level. Even as a college student who thought they were getting the upper hand, as a college student, the law of reciprocity is working on the subconscious mind. Is like, you know what? I ain't got no money right now, but when I come back and I have some money, I'm coming to your restaurant because you fed me for the last 2 Saturdays for free. Let me see what Mr. Sanjay said. On college campuses, the credit card companies would give away free prizes to help you ruin. Yes. Free credit cards coming. Oh my God. My 20s from 21 to 29 were ruined with credit. Oh, bad credit. By those free prizes by the credit card companies coming online on campuses and giving away free credit cards. Ruined my 20s. But anyway, my point is, again, the reciprocity. I had an example from the required reading that all of my viewers are, again, from the book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, right? The example about reciprocity that paints the picture so bad, I mean, better than no other, is that in 1985, Ethiopia sent $5,000 to Mexico. In 1985, Ethiopia sent $5,000 to aid in Mexico because there was an earthquake in Mexico, right? Now, going back to 1985, Ethiopia was going through one of the worst droughts in history. So there was a huge, massive drought. The company's infrastructure had collapsed. There was no government. There was no rain, no water. People were dying from disease and lack of water. So Ethiopia was in no position to give anyone money, much less $5,000, 5,000 US currency. So in 1985, here it is. We don't have a pot to piss in, and we're going to give $5,000 to Mexico to help with their earthquake. And you're talking about, now this was 1985, and you say, well, how in the world or why would they do this? Here is why. Because in 1935, when Italy invaded, here's a little history. Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that has never been colonized, because in 1935, when Italy tried to come in and be like, you know, we're going to conquer and colonize you like we've colonized all the other countries in Africa, Ethiopia said, hold up, we got this work for you. We got them things for you. So Ethiopia, with the help of Mexico giving some aid, which was a small aid, but Mexico aided. Mexico also did not like colonizers coming in and colonize. They did not like what Spain did to them. So Mexico gave Ethiopia some aid in 1935. And in 1985, was it 1985? 1985, 50 years later, the power of reciprocity was not lost. Even in our drought, even when we don't have anything to give, you have an earthquake, here is $5,000. There is no other story that encompasses the law of reciprocity better than that story. Here it is. 50 years had passed. 50 years. 50 years had passed, and Ethiopia, in the greatest drought in history, with no government, sent $55,000 to Mexico because they did not forget Mexico aiding them in defeating Italy when Italy tried to invade Ethiopia. And to this day, Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that never flew the flag of a colonizer. That story illustrates the power of reciprocity. Going back to the free prize inside, I forgot to say this. So again, bought my GoPro. Because of the GoPro, I bought the handband thing. After that, I bought the thing for the head. And then I realized that, hey, I live in Georgia. There's no beaches unless you want to drive to Savannah. You don't want to swim in Savannah's water. So I decided, because of one purchase of a GoPro, I wanted to test out all of this stuff, not in a pool, but in the ocean. I was willing to drive to Florida, to Destin, Florida, just so that I could use my GoPro and I could snorkel with my watch and be like, look at me. The power of the free prize inside. So they gave away more than I was paying for. Oh, and it came with a little handy dandy remote. They didn't know it was going to come with a remote. So I thought I was getting this. I got this, 1,000 other stands, a wall stand, a car stand, a light stand, a remote. Then I was like, well, if this is what they're giving away for free, imagine what the purchase stuff is for. Bought the hand wrist thing, bought the head thing. And they just got 2 other purchases because they over-delivered on what they promised. They over-delivered on the brand promise. I covered a lot. I know you guys, I covered a lot today. But it's important that you allocate that time to think of putting yourself out of business. And it's also important that you are over delivering. If you're giving your customers only what they're paying for, you're missing the target, and your competition is going to come in and give them more than they're paying for. Or the customer is going to be, how can I do it myself? Like Apple. Intel is a very financially stable company, but trust me, that is a huge loss of losing the Apple account. Again, just one household. I have 4 Apple computers with an Intel chip in it. 4! I own 3 of those computers myself. This computer, my laptop, and the computer upstairs, all Apple with the Intel chip. Moving forward, Apple says those 4 purchases, we're going to keep the money in-house, Mr. Walters, and we're going to make our own chips. So homework is for you to take 5 minutes on Saturday. No, 5 minutes on Friday, 5 minutes on Saturday, and 5 minutes on Sunday. And until you die, or until Jesus returns, 5 minutes every day, you need to think, if you want to be in business, of ways to put yourself out of business from a customer's point of view, and 5 minutes every single day until the day you die, or until the Lord Savior himself returns, whichever one comes first. 5 minutes a day of thinking of ways maybe your customer might try to put you out of business, and say, I can do it myself. Every day for the next 55 years, or until you die, if you continue to be a business owner, that is your job. It's only 10 minutes a day. You can do it while you're in the bathroom using the toilet. You can do it for the first 5 minutes of your shower. Whenever you do it, you must do it. Whenever you do it, you must do it. Or you're going to find out yourself, you're going to be like Apple. Like IBM was years ago, and then like Intel is right now, when Apple decides we're going to make our own M1 chip. Like Apple said in review, if you don't do that, you're going to be just like IBM was years ago. You're going to be just like Intel is right now, and Apple says we're going to do our own chip. Thank you for coming. God bless you. Good night, Intel. It was nice, but we're going to make our own chip. And those 4 computers that Mr. Walters has, when he purchases his next 4 computers, they're going to be with our chips. Or you're going to be like Woolite. Again, I've been using Woolite since 1997. Freshman year in college, I would have to buy a Woolite for bright colors and a Woolite for dark colors. $9.97, $10, $11.97, $11. The supreme clientele, the owner of the lane of detergent, Tide, said, hold up, why buy 2 for $21 and you can just give us $12? Woolite dark and light in one purchase for $12. And there it is, Woolite, who got comfortable and complacent with Mr. Walters as a customer, lost a company, a loyal, quote unquote, loyal customer for 20 years because the big boy stepped in and say, now we're going to take some of this market share away from you. Let me take Mr. Walters off your hands for you. Let me take that responsibility off. Since you did not over deliver and you thought that you had Mr. Walters and you was complacent, then you never try to improve Woolite in 20 years. There's been no improvement in Woolite in 20 years. This is the same container for 20 years. Tide says, you know what? We got you. We got you. Bye, Woolite. Hello, Studio Dark and Colors by Tide. That's the world we live in. Hey, listen, have a great weekend. If you missed the beginning of the show, you definitely want to go back and watch the replay because I dropped some gems on the in the beginning. So have a great weekend. As always, If you need help implementing anything that you saw, then my team and I are here to help you. We are here to help you. All you have to do is go to workwithwess.com. We will give you a free customer experience audit, see where you are, what your goals are, and we will share you how utilizing our system, we can help you achieve your goals in the quickest time possible. You can do it yourself and Google yourself to death, or you can compress time and allow a professional to help you. All right, so go to workwithwess.com, and my team and I will reach out to you and see how we can provide you with a free customer experience audit and help you implement some of the customer experience tips and tricks that you saw and witnessed today. As always, I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern for CX in the Morning. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you know a manager, definitely share this broadcast with them and let them know where they need to be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Peace. Have a great weekend, and you guys be safe. Please, between the 17th and the 20th, I need you guys to be safe. Be safe. Keep your loved one and keep kids very close to you. The 17th, I'm not going to go into detail of why. 17th to the 20th, I need you guys to keep the loved ones and the babies safe. All right? Especially my melanated people. Be safe. See you guys on Monday.